I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we get set for race number 25 of the 7th season of the NCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Getting ready here to go racing under the lights at the Bristol Motor Speedway, the dirt version of the world's fastest half mile, 100 laps on tap. Already been a wild weekend here in Bristol, Tennessee. And we're capping it off here this evening with this being the next to last race of the regular season. That's right. Drivers have already, and other drivers could, at the conclusion, lock themselves into the playoffs. We've got one more race after tonight. That's Auto Club next week, where we'll determine the 16 drivers that will battle it out for the championship. 10 drivers will get in via top 10 in points. 6 drivers will get in via wild card. And a little caveat here this weekend, if you didn't tune in to last night's Duracell Ultra Light Series race, no cautions will fly during the course of this 100 lappers. So our very astute editing crew here and camera people at NNSCRA TV will be doing their best during the course of tonight's event to keep you aware of everything that is important that has gone on, where we wouldn't have the opportunity to go back and take a look at full replays. They would be showing it to you via the NNSCRA split cam. So they're going to be working overtime here tonight, as will these drivers, because some drivers, as I said, they've come into this race. They're locked into the playoffs. Those 3 drivers would be Rob Evans, Austin LaPlante, and James Qualls. They cannot mathematically fall out of the top 10 in the point standings. Even if Qualls did, he'd be falling into one of the higher seeded wildcard spots with his 3 victories. But they've all 3 come into this race over 120 points ahead of the 10th in the standings cut line. So we already know they will battle for the championship regardless of what happens here tonight and regardless of what happens next week at Auto Club. So congratulations to them. We also know that Will Goss can lock himself up a playoff spot here tonight, provided he finishes inside of the top 20. If he does so, he will be secured into the playoffs via at least a wild card spot. He still, though, can mathematically point his way into the top 10. Other drivers that we will be keeping an eye on during the course of this evening that potentially, but not exactly, could lock themselves into the playoffs would include the likes of 2-time winner Jessica Shelton, 3-time winner Connor Breton, and if he can get up into the top 30 in points, maybe 2-time winner Matthew Rodriguez. Let's take a look at those playoff points coming into this race. Evans, LaPlante, and Qualls, we mentioned they're already locked in. Casey Hoyt, if he can finish out tonight's race inside of the top 30, he'll be locked into the playoffs, another of our 3-time winners. Jesse Turner currently sits in the 5th position. I don't think he mathematically can lock himself in, but if he finishes up inside the top 10, top 15, he would really only have to finish, I think, maybe in the top 30 next week at Auto Club to be locked in. So he's got some wiggle room here tonight. The big story is going to be around that 6th through 10th position, because nobody is yet safe to not drop out of the top 10 in overall standings. Destin Bolin currently is about roughly 50 points above the cut line. Dylan Pote currently about 33 points above the cut line. Keith Batson is only 21 points above the cut line, and Caleb Vogler is only 2 points ahead of Reese Banks, who's in that final 10th position in the overall standings. And oh yeah, by the way, there's a bunch of hungry drivers knocking on the door just outside the top 10. 1 point back in 11th is Mitchell Collins. 2 points back In 12th is a former winner at this very racetrack, Carson Gum. Dylan Young, who right now would be in a wild card position, he could mathematically move back into the top 10. Will Goss could move back into the top 10. And so too could Chris Dollerton, Levi McIntyre, Jose Mills, Michael Norman. All those drivers could be in the top 10 in points at the conclusion of this evening, depending on what happens. So, got to keep an eye on everything here tonight, and can't wait to see how it shakes out when the points are calculated. Another former winner at this racetrack, lining up at the front of the field, Ryan Butcher, the defending winner of this race. He ended up winning his way into the playoffs with this event 1 season ago, and he will capture the inside of the front row to lead us to green here tonight. Track position could be very important. Ryan Butcher coming into this race 19th in overall points. A win easily puts him in the wild card conversation. Alongside of him is going to be Cody Lamas. Cody coming into this race 25th in points, had a good run at Atlanta last week that jumped him up 3 spots in the standings. Cody could, with a victory, put himself in the wild card conversation, but he would also, I think, need a lot of points next week as well, as things are very congested around that final wild card position. Right now, you've got Jessica Shelton, Connor Breton, and Will Goss all holding the top 3 wild card spots. Then it's one-time winners in Dylan Young, Levi McIntyre, and last week's winner, Zach Rogers, moved up to 21st in points. He is the last driver in via wildcard spot right now, and he is a total of 14 points, 9 points, ahead of his teammate, Zachary Fitzwater, who is 23rd in overall standings. Fitzwater, a former winner inside the top 30, but currently would be on the outside of the playoff spectrum. A lot of pieces could move here tonight. A lot of drivers could get shuffled. We'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. It's time to go down trackside and get those most famous words in motorsports here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Nice smooth. Let's be there at the end. It's a long race. We just got to stay in contention. No mistakes. That's the big key. No mistakes today. We get up there. We get in the top 10. We ride. That's what we got to do today.
Right side of your screen is your starting lineup for tonight's event. 100 green flag laps this evening. Pit road will definitely come into play. They're going to have to pit at least once, maybe twice before the conclusion. And somebody might be able to lock themselves up a spot in this season's playoffs, depending on what happens here tonight. The dirt and the dust are ready to be flying. And these drivers are ready to take the green as Ryan Butcher brings them out of turn 4. And we're racing at Bristol. Cody Lamas with the run on the top side. It's going to clear for the lead. There was a little contact between the Auto Junction Racing teammates there with Ryan Butcher and Laura Chung on the first lap off of 2 as Butcher was trying to tuck up in line and Chung ran into the back of him. Reggie Fogelman right now in the 4th spot, looking to move up to 3rd as he'll get alongside of Butcher, who is cleared by Chung. Moving into 2nd place, Cody Lamas still clear in the race lead. Looks like we've got a driver that's already had an issue. 39 of Keith Batson. No caution though. There will be no yellows here this evening, so anything that happens, we're going to be bringing to you courtesy of the NNSCRA split cam. Batson's going to lose some ground. It might have been Chris Dollerton, the driver he got into. Dollerton has also lost ground to the lead group. Batson coming into this race inside the top 10 in points, 8th in overall standings. And Dollerton 15th in overall points. Both drivers trying to secure themselves spots in this season's playoffs. Reggie Fogelman taking a look on Laura Chung for 2nd place. Jessica Shelton on the outside line now, trying to get the 4th position from Ryan Butcher. Carson Gum taking a peek there 3 wide. Austin LaPlante right there in the 48. Rob Evans coming into this race 4 points above LaPlante for the overall regular season championship. 12 points back James Qualls, Casey Hoyt 20 points back. Those 15 valuable playoff points still up for grabs, and a quartet of drivers still in the hunt for it. Right now, in terms of track position, Austin LaPlante has the advantage on the other three. As Shelton looking to clear Ryan Butcher. Butcher very loose there. Underneath the 94, Carson Gum keeps taking a peek like he wants to go 3 wide on the inside, but then tucks back in there behind the 78 of Ryan Butcher. Pretty congested right now from 4th place on back. Everybody trying to find a way forward as Cody Lamas continues to show the way. Kyle Matthews, unscheduled pit stop for the 09. Looks like he's returned to the track, but he is 2 laps down, the former champion. Again, all these things that are being called out right now, if replay worthy, you're seeing via the NNSCRA split cam as we're 3 wide for 3rd. Reggie Fogelman gets put in the middle, Butcher on the bottom, Shelton on the top. We saw these drivers in qualifying last night getting very congested. At one point, they were double and 3 rows of 3 wide. And they settle this one out. Thought for a moment Shelton and Fogelman were going to squeeze each other into the outside wall as, look at that high line there for Laura Chung. Ooh, contact! Shelton into the right rear of Reggie Fogelman. They keep it going. You see Mitchell Collins there in the 33. Pretty significant damage on his machine as he was on pit road. Somebody else, I think, is hitting pit lane, unless that was Collins again. There's somebody else on the backstretch here that's coming to pit lane. That's Dylan Poteet in the 31. So a bunch of drivers with some unscheduled stops here, no doubt to repair some damage sustained in incidents here in the beginning stages of this race. 4th place battle continues. Fogelman got himself clear back into 3rd. Butcher and Shelton still side by side for 4th place. Looks like Zachary Fitzwater with an unscheduled pit stop. Here he is returning back to the track right in front of the leaders. He's going to fall, looks like 2 laps down. Levi McIntyre out of the race in the 99. This is back-to-back weeks that Levi is going to finish dead last. Last week it was a fuel injector problem as Fitzwater's coming back in. And this week, Levi McIntyre out of the race, I can only assume due to crash damage, as we're 3 wide now for the 5th position. Ryan Butcher's gotten cleared into 4th. Now it's Destin Bolin, Carson Gum, and Jessica Shelton 3 wide. Destin Bolin making up some good ground on the bottom of the racetrack. He got around Carson Gum in that 3 wide move. Now he's going for 3rd, or make that 4th on Butcher, and maybe 2 for the price of 1, 3rd on Reggie Fogelman. 12 car looking really strong here as the run goes on, and he is making forward progress on that inside line. It's like Kyle Matthews and Zachary Fitzwater are currently 2 laps down. Dylan Poteet and Mitchell Collins 3 laps down, and now Fitzwater falling a 3rd lap down according to scoring. There's Fitzwater in the 66. That's huge in terms of all those drivers I just mentioned, because Fitzwater came into this race outside of the playoffs despite having a victory at Mid-Ohio. That was Matthew Rodriguez on pit lane right there. Dylan Poteet comes into this race only about 33 points ahead of the 10th in the standings cut line, so if he drops out of the top 10, he would fall maybe into a wild card spot. Mitchell Collins came into this race 11th in points, only 1 point out of the top 10, so he may not move into the playoffs with where he may end up finishing. And Matt Rod right there, now 2 laps down with that unscheduled pit stop. He was trying to make his way into the top 30 in points for his 2 wins to count towards a wild card spot. He was 12 points back, and I just saw Jessica Shelton on pit lane. Shelton was up here inside of the top 5. And now she's on pit road for an unscheduled stop. Shelton coming into this race 20th in overall points. She was about 50 points ahead of the 30th in the standings cut line. We continue to watch this battle for second place that is starting to close up on race leader Cody Lamas as well. Destin Bolin, Laura Chung, and Reggie Fogelman reeling in the Carvana Chevy of Lamas. Good corner there on the inside for Destin Bolin. Thought he might clear Laura Chung, but not quite. And now, look at this. Kind of boxes Chung in behind Cody Lamas, whose car may be going away here on the long run. And Destin Bolin may be looking for the race lead. Destin coming into this race 6th in overall points. One of 5 drivers in the top 10 in overall standings coming into this weekend that does not have a victory. Was a 3-time winner last year. Has seen his teammates Will Goss and Dylan Young go to victory lane here for a total of 3 times this season. And trying to get his first win on the season. I think it's pretty safe to say if Destin were to win tonight, he'd be locked into the playoffs before we even get to Auto Club next week. Oh, we are 4 wide back here. Jessica Shelton, who's returned to the track. Now 4 laps down. A couple of Mazdas who are outside there, and Anthony McCrory and Nick Gunther. Gunther, a former winner here at Bristol Dirt back in Season 5. Matthew Rodriguez right there as well in the 80 off the lead lap. He is... Oh, no, there we go. McCrory got Gunther, got Shelton. And look out oncoming traffic. Deaver, Rogers, it's going to stack them up here. Dylan Young, Charles Sanford, Benjamin Miles all getting into it. Fitzwater gets a late hit. That's going to bring, I think that's Quentin Moore to pit road. Well, we caught that one live. And McCrory's on pit lane now. Bolin has cleared himself into second place as Moore was coming off pit road and Shelton was coming in. That was close. Near contact between those two. Ryan Butcher in the 78, our pole sitter there. I see he's got some left side damage and maybe some right side damage. That can be worrying because in last night's lights race, a lot of drivers who were running well ended up not getting finishes indicative of how good they were running because they spent extra time on pit road having to get damage repaired. A hit into the wall here is not pleasant. There are no safer barriers since this is a dirt track. And so that's extra damage you have to deal with. Whoa, that was close. Was that Laura Chung? Yeah, it was Laura Chung that nearly wiped out her teammate Ryan Butcher as Chung is coming to pit lane. It's going to be difficult to tell what's a regularly scheduled stop and what's a stop for a driver coming down to repair damages. I see more drivers on pit lane. Shelton's back on pit road. I saw a couple of the Lake Effect Autosport Fords on pit lane. Reese Banks and Jesse Turner. There's Zach Rogers, our winner from last week, now coming back out onto the racetrack. As we're watching the nose-to-tail battle for the lead, the 84 of Cody Lamas and the 12 of Destin Bolin trying to make their way around the lap machine of Quentin Moore. Quentin, I believe, if he can make this pass, would actually be back on the tail end of the lead lap. And Destin Bolin looks to shoot up the middle there. Reese Banks, lap machine, between second and third place. That'd be Ryan Butcher. And right now, I believe the fourth position is Reggie Fogelman with Carson Gum. They're about 6-7 tenths of a second behind the top 3. More drivers I see on pit lane. Ryan Brommer in the 87, 38 of Jose Mills. Now, a lot of drivers may be on pit lane here that you will not see replays for, showing why they're on pit lane. If you don't see a crash on the anti-split cam, but there's a driver that we document that's on pit lane, you can probably assume that they've at some point hit the wall and they're coming down to repair that damage. Carson Gum I saw on pit lane, Kyle Matthews right there. right at the moment, with scoring only 21 drivers on the lead lap, Quentin Moore being the last of those. He just got back on the tail end of the lead lap, getting around Cody Lamas. Where did Destin Bolin go? Oh, Cody's coming in. So this might be a regularly scheduled stop for him. Destin might have come in the lap prior, and I think that turns the lead over to, I think, Ryan Butcher. Yes, it does. Kyler Sustre coming off pit lane. Oh, contact! Oh, Butcher's going to turn Sustre up the track right in front of oncoming traffic. Jose Mills and Matt Haas slide into it. Zach Rogers is going to get a piece of it right there. Oh, big hit. That's Carson Gum. And Carson's sitting in the middle of the track. So is Mills. And, oh, are they going to teleport? I think they are. I think they teleported. Oh, that's tough for Carson Gum, former winner here that maybe could have won his way into the playoffs or pointed his way into the playoffs here tonight. Who even is the leader now? Third place was just on pit lane. Fifth place coming off pit road. Scoring says it's Ryan Butcher. Might end up being Quentin Moore after all is said and done, actually. Yeah, it is actually. The 89 is the race leader according to scoring. He's having to deal with Zachary Fitzwater. We gotta wait for everything to score around here. Quentin Moore has not been to pit road. We're still waiting on him. Looks like Ryan Butcher and Nathan Ormond were the other two that we hadn't had on pit road, and they've already just completed their service. Carson Gum is out of the race. I just saw them push his car back behind the wall. Jose Mills is out of the race. Cole Deaver, Jessica Shelton, Levi McIntyre also all behind the wall. That's going to be interesting to see where Jessica Shelton is after everything shakes out. Trying to hold on to a wild card position. Levi McIntyre going to continue to free fall through the point stands as well. He finished dead last week, dropped 7 spots down to 16th. And he could easily drop even further in the point standings tonight with another dead last finish. That could put him out of a wild card spot. Quentin Moore right now 28th in overall standings. Trying to pick up his second win of his career and first of the season. He is currently the leader, but he is the only driver according to our scoring charts that has not come to pit lane. Don't know how much further he could go. The driver that is in second place at this current point in time is actually the 80 of Matthew Rodriguez. See if we can find where he is. And it looks like actually now he's about to lose second. Destin Bolin trying to take the spot, but Rodriguez trying to make his way back into the top 30 in points. He knows that he's chartered for next week. He'll be behind the wheel of the 24 for Northeast Motorsports at Auto Club. And looking good here tonight. Now, granted, I think he was involved in an earlier incident, so he came to pit road a lot sooner than others. He'll probably be on pit road a lot sooner than others again. But we'll have to see if it cycles him back up here into the top 5. Right now, Destin Bolin into second. Rodriguez drops back to third. And the last driver currently scored on the lead lap is this driver, Ryan Brommer, who is in the 4th position. Everybody else is 1 lap down or more. Cody Lamas is currently a lap down in the 5th position. Laura Chung in 6th. Ryan Butcher 7th. Then Will Goss, RJ Bishop, and Anthony McCrory are your current scored top 10. Quentin Moore on pit road. So he'll give up the race lead. That should move Destin Bolin back to the front. And it looks like Matthew Rodriguez, it looked like there was some damage on that 80 car, so he might be a little bit off the pace. So Destin Bolin's going to have a nice, sizable gap back to Rodriguez, who also may be in danger of losing the second spot to Ryan Brommer. Brommer is closing in. He's at the tail end of the pack that Rodriguez is at the front of. They're both in the same line, though, on that outside line. And the 3 wide up there. That's Caleb Fogler squeezing it there up the middle of Matthew Rodriguez. Ryan Brommer, trapped back in this group, is not really losing, but he's not gaining any time on Destin Bolin. Now 3 wide as Kyle Matthews swings low on Matt McIntyre, and that was tight off of turn 2. Look at Matthews fly into the corner there, drives it in deep. And he's going to pass about 4 cars in the span of 2 corners. With Quentin Moore coming to pit lane, by the way, that put a lot more drivers back on the tail end of the lead lap, or on the lead lap. Cody Lamas down through Michael Norman, who's in the 14th position, are now all on the lead lap. Joshua Osborne, it looks like he's picked up a spot on Anthony McCurry, move him up to 9th. Casey Hoyt, we said he had to finish pretty much in the top 20 this evening to lock himself up a spot in the playoffs. He's currently in 13th, so he's in good shape. Jesse Turner is just ahead of him in 12th, so Turner could maybe lock himself in here tonight. And Destin Bolin out in front showing the way could lock himself in this evening as well. Here's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Rodriguez, Brommer, and Lamas. Brommer putting the pressure on Rodriguez for the runner-up spot. This going on about 3 seconds behind the race leader, Destin Bolin. Lord Chung at the tail end of this group as well, in the 5th position, so pretty close from 2nd to 5th place. Oh, Connor Breton going to get hooked by Matthew Rodriguez. They keep it going, though. That's going to be some additional damage on Connor Breton, who right now has scored 27th, 2 laps down. And Rodriguez is coming to pit road, probably due to the damage he just got there, hooking the 88 and getting squeezed into the outside wall, so Rodriguez will give up 2nd. Cody Lamas got by all of that, so he'll move into the 2nd spot. Ryan Brommer got relegated back to 3rd. And now we'll see if Cody Lamas can start chipping away at the over 3.5 second gap between him and Destin Bolin. Destin's got some traffic to deal with. Kyle Matthews. And then a pack up ahead with Casey Hoyt, Austin LaPlante, Michael Norman, and Jesse Turner, who I believe, with the exception of LaPlante, all those drivers are tail end of the lead lap cars. LaPlante is currently 25th, 1 lap down. However, LaPlante, I believe, would be ahead of Rob Evans scoring-wise. Evans is currently 32nd, 3 laps down, so LaPlante could take the points lead going into Auto Club next week. They keep flip-flopping it. There's nearly a full straightaway right now from Destin Bolin back to Cody Lamas. When Destin enters into turn 3, Cody is coming out of turn 2. There's also the Caleb Fogler machine that would be between the two of them also. But now we'll see with Destin encountering some traffic what will happen. Oh, Cody actually just came to pit road. Maybe for his final stop of the night. Maybe the short pit strategy there for the 84. We'll see if it pans out. Destin Bolin continues to stay out and show the way. Oh, wreck. That was LaPlante getting spun, and look out oncoming traffic. They're all going to make it past. I think that was Casey Hoyt in the 74 that also was in there. Anthony McCurry, one of our lead lap cars, was on pit road. Is Cody Lamas still sitting on pit lane? Okay, I wasn't sure if he was having a regular pit stop or that was an unscheduled pit stop. It looks like may have been regularly scheduled, but I'm not sure. He spent a little extra time there on pit lane. Follow up on that, Jesse Turner coming in from 10th place. Oh, Will Goss slowly, steadily working his way up the running order. The 2-time winner, currently 5th on the board. We mentioned that he could lock himself into the playoffs, into a wild card spot officially after tonight. He also mathematically could move back up into the top 10 in points, too. Since our last update of the drivers out of the race, nobody else has gone behind the wall. We've got a lot of drivers that have fallen multiple laps down, but Carson Gum, Jose Mills, Cole Deaver, Jessica Shelton, and Levi McIntyre are the only ones that are out of the race. So for Carson Gum, might be a must-win situation for him next week to get into the playoffs. Not certain how far he'll be behind the cut line. Levi McIntyre is going to be an interesting one with where he's positioned in the playoffs. He came into this race in the 5th wildcard spot, and he may drop out of the playoffs heading into next week. And Jessica Shelton will be another interesting one, as she came into this race holding the 3rd wildcard spot with 2 wins on the season, and I believe the official calculation is Destin's coming in. I believe the official calculation would have been, what was it, 39 points, I think. No, 49 points that she had over the cut line. So Destin's in. Where's the 87 of Ryan Brommer? Does that cycle him to the race lead? Or maybe it's Laura Chung. It is Laura Chung. Ryan Brommer came into pit road. So the 77 now out in front. And it looks like Laura Chung will still have to pit before this race is over. Joshua Osborne has now moved into 2nd. Chung's coming in this time. Where's the 27? Oh, LaPlante's going to get spun by Rogers while trying to pit. And he may run out of fuel if he can't get back around. There's Osborne, who's going to cycle to the top spot. Joshua Osborne looking for his 2nd win of his career. Pocono winner last season in his full-time rookie campaign. Destin Bolin, you see there merging back onto the racetrack. Be interesting to see where he cycles in relation to Cody Lamas and others. We're still waiting to see about the 27, who will hit the line for 25 to go. Michael Norman was on pit lane. I believe Osborne and Quentin Moore, a couple of Joanna Atwood Motorsports drivers, the last 2 we are waiting on to complete this final pit stop cycle. And then we should have everybody all good to go till the checkered flag, and it's basically a you got what you got situation. Now, something to follow up on here. Ryan Butcher has made 2 pit stops. Destin Bolin has made 2 pit stops. As here comes Osborne to pit road. Scoring has Destin Bolin currently 2 laps down. He should be back to 1 lap down now, but the driver that's ahead of him, according to scoring, is the 78 of Ryan Butcher. So does Butcher cycle to the race lead at the conclusion of everything here? There is your new race leader, Quentin Moore, but Moore, I think, is going to have to pit before the conclusion. Ryan Butcher, I believe, should be back in the tail end of the lead lap now, and scoring says indeed that is the case, and Butcher is ahead of Destin Bolin. So Ryan Butcher trying to go coast to coast. And after starting on the pole, Ryan's only led 2 laps tonight. We'll see if he can make it the entire rest of the way. As I believe, did Quentin Moore come to pit road? He has now. So that should, I believe, cycle Ryan Butcher to the top position, and indeed it does. Coming to 20 to go. I believe it's going to be Ryan Butcher, then Destin Bolin, then Cody Lamas, Ryan Brommer, Laura Chung. That'll be the top 5. And I believe everybody should be able to make it on fuel now as well. So now it's a kind of you got what you got. You got to play the traffic. Keep yourself out of trouble. And Ryan Butcher just ran his fastest lap right there, folks. 18.228. So Ryan Butcher trying to put as much of a gap as he can between himself and second place, which I guess they're saying is Quentin Moore. Ryan Brommer is coming in. He couldn't make it, apparently. They're saying the 89 is second place, ahead of Destin Bolin. Okay, now scoring has updated itself and moved Bolin into second. Cody Lamas should be third, which indeed he is. Fourth place is Laura Chung, and look who's in fifth. The defending champ, Charles Sanford. Now Sanford comes in this race 24th in the standings. He's almost practically in a must-win situation to be able to get into a wild card spot. I don't think mathematically he can get into the top 10 in points. But if it does come down to a fuel situation here, can Sanford be the one to make it? Joshua Osborne right now, after the pit stop, cycles into sixth. We know he could probably make it if fuel is a question. He was one of the last ones onto pit road. And Matthew Rodriguez is right now in seventh. The Sanford pit. Charles Sanford just pit from the fifth spot. Matthew Rodriguez now will move up another position, and he is right now the last car on the lead lap because 2 cars behind him is Ryan Butcher. Well, we said that tonight was going to be a wild card race. It was going to shuffle up the points. It was going to shuffle up the playoff picture and give us an idea of what to expect for the scenarios next week at Auto Club. That has definitely been the case, especially with the fact there's been no yellow flags to help bunch these drivers back up. You make a mistake on the track, on pit road, it's going to cost you dearly because you lose several laps here at this half-mile racetrack as a consequence. We've only got 6 drivers on the lead lap right now, and Ryan Butcher is currently the driver out in front. Ryan's 19th in points. He was ahead of Zach Rogers coming into this race. He was just behind Levi McIntyre, who is out of this race. Ryan Butcher, if he can win here tonight, would definitely, I believe, have his name on the playoff grid starting next week at Auto Club in the wild card conversation. And things, from what I'm looking at, are going to look very interesting around that top 10 in overall points as well. Keith Batson has struggled tonight. Mitchell Collins has struggled tonight. Reese Banks is 31st. Collins is 34th. Keith Batson is, well, he's worked his way up to 18th after early issues. Carson Gum out of the race. Chris Dollerton is 32nd. So not much might happen around that top 10 in points. Positions might stay pretty stationary. Less than 10 to go. Ryan Butcher continuing to show the way. It's 7.5 seconds back to Destin Bolin. Now it's just a question of fuel. Can Ryan Butcher make it to the checkered flag? A lot of traffic around him, but he's got room to work with. Long ways back to the 12 of Destin Bolin, who's got a lot of traffic he would have to deal with before he could get up there anyway. Connor Breton cutting down in front of traffic there in a 3-wide situation. He's having to deal with Kyler Sustre right now as Destin. Then he'd have Mitchell Collins and Dylan Poteet, Zach Rogers, Reggie Fogelman, Caleb Fogler. I'm sorry, make that Will Goss, or make that Matt McIntyre, Keith Batson, Matt Haas. Plus, Ryan Butcher would have a teammate to maybe play some defense for him. Right behind him is the 87 of Ryan Brommer. Ooh, this is tight off the corner. Matthew Rodriguez trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. RJ Bishop there to the inside is currently the first car 1 lap down in 7th. 4 wide! Contact made between Rodriguez and Butcher, and they're gonna try and settle that out. Ryan Butcher almost throwing this victory away, racing hard with these drivers in this group. As next time by, it'll be 2 laps to go. Ryan Brommer, Matthew Rodriguez making a little contact there. Ryan Butcher, imagine the heart rate right now. 2 laps remaining here at Bristol Dirt. Last season, Ryan Butcher picked up his first victory of the season right here and won his way into a playoff position. He's looking for a little deja vu here in back-to-back seasons as he will see the white flag. Pretty clear ahead of him, about half a car length up to Rodriguez. No pressure behind from the lap car of Reese Banks. Ryan Butcher may have just locked himself into the playoffs as he goes coast to coast here at Bristol Dirt. His second straight victory in back-to-back seasons here at this racetrack. Destin Bolin will cross the line in second. Cody Lamas will bring it home in third. With Laura Chung, Joshua Osborne, and Matthew Rodriguez the last drivers to finish on the lead lap. Crazy one here tonight under the lights at the Bristol Motor Speedway, as standings should be official. Ignore a couple of these retired signs. They end up retiring into their pit stall before the standings were declared official, but the scoring remains the same with their positioning. Ryan Butcher with the victory. Did he just lock himself into the playoffs? He could have. Destin Bolin could have also locked himself into the playoffs. He had only about a 50-point gap between himself and the 10th of the standings cut line, but a runner-up finish tonight, and I believe, no, he did not lead the most laps. Cody Lamas actually did with 38, Ryan Butcher 24, and Destin Bolin 23. But Destin Bolin with the podium finish might have enough of a gap between himself and that cut line that he'll be locked into the playoffs for the second straight season. Cody Lamas going to bring it home with a solid outing of third after leading the most laps. Laura Chung and Joshua Osborne, a couple of drivers that have really struggled this year. Some well-needed runs for them inside of the top 5. Matthew Rodriguez, I think 6th will be enough to move him back in the top 30 in points, so he's back in the wild card conversation. Good run for the Young Motorsports cars there in 7th and 8th. RJ Bishop, it's been a very struggling year for him so far, and he gets a 7th place. Will Goss, did he just lock himself up a spot in his first ever playoff appearance with the 8th place performance tonight? Reggie Fogelman, we're going to see him make his debut for Haas Racing next week. He's going to be in the 9th position here tonight, and Kyler Sustre brings it home in 10th place. It might be a little too late for Kyler Sustre. I think he's too far back behind the cut line for him to get up there into the top 30 in points and his win to count towards a playoff spot, but good top 10 run for him this evening. Caleb Fogler, 11th place. That should keep him in the top 10 in points. Anthony McCreary bringing it home in 12th. Good run for that Mazda. Casey Hoyt, he needed basically a top 20 to lock himself into the playoffs, and he's going to get 13th. So Casey Hoyt, he's locked in to the postseason regardless of next week. Dylan Young, 14th place. Dylan might be back up in the top 10 in points. That could maybe lock him in. Not sure exactly. Benjamin Miles, good run in 15th. And Keith Batson will stay in the top 10 in points, I'm pretty sure, with a 16th place run here today. Zach Rogers got into the playoffs with a win last week. Does he remain in the playoff conversation with 17th place performance tonight? We'll have to wait and see about that. Dylan Poteet brings home an 18th. Poteet, I think, will stay in the top 10 in points, at least at this point in time, but there might be a smaller cushion between himself and that cut line than he would have liked. Quentin Moore brings home in 19th, and Charles Sanford is going to finish in 20th. It will probably be a must-win situation for him at his home track next week if he's going to defend his championship title. Ryan Brommer, Michael Norman, Matt Haas, Nick Gunther, Kyle Matthews, your top 25. Looks like LaPlante, who initially was going to have the points lead over Rob Evans, he ended up finishing behind the 65. Evans brings it home in 27th, and LaPlante in 31st. James Qualls also finished back in 32nd place. So let's double check on where Casey Hoyt finished in regards to these drivers, because maybe Hoyt's back to the top of the board in overall points. He was 13th. He was 20 points behind Evans coming into this race, and Evans brings it home in 27th. So that is, 14 positions made up? So I think Evans still has the points lead, but it's still going to be super close between himself, LaPlante, Qualls, and Hoyt heading into next week for that 15 valuable bonus points for the regular season championship. Some other drivers down here that really did not need the performances that they got. Chris Dollerton trying to get himself back into the top 10 in the point standings, 30th place here this evening. Mitchell Collins was the first driver out of the top 10 and 11th in overall points, 33rd for the 33. Not what he needed. Zachary Fitzwater, this is going to be a big one for him as he was outside of the playoffs after his teammate's victory last week at Atlanta, and he finishes 37th. I almost wonder if it might be a must-win situation for Zachary next week. Carson Gum as well looked like he could maybe point his way into the playoffs. Well, he's going to have a bit of a gap between himself and that 10th in the standings cut line as he suffered a DNF tonight, along with Jose Mills, Cole Deaver, Jessica Shelton next week. Going to be interesting to see where she is in relation to the cut line. And then Levi McIntyre back-to-back weeks where he finishes dead last in the field. Levi coming into this race just barely in the playoffs, and he may be back out of the playoff conversation as well. Matthew Rodriguez moving back into the top 30. Ryan Butcher going to victory lane here. I really think we're going to have maybe 2 or 3 of our former winners inside the top 30 that will not be on the playoff grid when we get to the start of next week's race at Auto Club. Going to be interesting to see who is going to be able to close out the deal when we head to the West Coast. Next week, it's the doubleheader. We'll have the Lights drivers and the Cup drivers. The Cup drivers beginning their playoffs at the conclusion of next week's regular season finale. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race here from Bristol Dirt, though. Chaotic one, but Ryan Butcher goes coast to coast, pole to win for his second straight victory here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. If you guys enjoyed tonight's race, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We have shown you your full finish results, and you are now looking at your point standings heading into next week. We will see you guys at Auto Club Speedway. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.